My dear friends, let us embark on a journey together, a journey into the very depths of our being, where we shall confront the specter of fear that looms over our lives. We gather here today to explore a profound truth, a truth that has the power to transform our existence entirely, learning to act as if we fear nothing. Now, you might be thinking, Alan, surely you jest. How can one possibly act without fear in a world so rife with uncertainty, danger, and the unknown? To that I say, precisely because of those very things, we must learn to act fearlessly. You see, fear is a curious creature. It masquerades as our protector, whispering cautionary tales in our ears, urging us to retreat to the safety of the familiar. But in reality, fear is the very thing that keeps us trapped, confined within the narrow boundaries of our comfort zones, preventing us from experiencing the full richness of life. Consider for a moment the nature of fear itself. What is it, really? Is it not merely a thought, a mental construct that we have imbued with power? We fear the future, yet the future exists only in our minds. We fear failure, yet failure is but a judgment we pass on our experiences. We fear death, yet death is the very thing that gives life its poignancy and meaning. The irony, my friends, is that in our desperate attempts to avoid what we fear, we often manifest the very things we are trying to escape. It's as if we're driving a car, constantly looking in the rearview mirror, terrified of what might be gaining on us, only to crash into what lies ahead. But what if, just what if, we could learn to act as if we fear nothing? What if we could move through life with the grace and ease of a leaf floating along a stream, neither resisting the current nor anxiously anticipating the waterfall ahead? This, my dear listeners, is the art of fearless action. It's not about eliminating fear entirely, for fear, like all emotions, has its place in the grand tapestry of human experience. Rather, it's about recognizing fear for what it is, a sensation, a fleeting visitor in the vast expanse of our consciousness. When we learn to act as if we fear nothing, we're not denying the existence of fear. Instead, we're choosing not to let it dictate our actions. We're saying, yes, I see you, fear. I acknowledge your presence, but you do not control me. You do not define me. Imagine, if you will, standing at the edge of a cliff. The conventional mind, gripped by fear, sees only the potential for falling. But the mind that has learned to act fearlessly sees something entirely different. It sees the exhilaration of the wind on your face, the breathtaking vista spread out before you, the infinite possibilities that open up when you're willing to stand at the edge of your comfort zone. This shift in perspective is not merely a mental exercise. It has profound implications for how we live our lives. When we act as if we fear nothing, we open ourselves up to experiences that we might otherwise shy away from. We become more willing to take risks, to embrace uncertainty, to dance with the unknown. Think about the great innovators, artists, and visionaries throughout history. Did they let fear hold them back? Did Einstein hesitate to challenge the fundamental laws of physics because he feared ridicule? Did Van Gogh put down his brush because he feared his art wouldn't be understood? Did Martin Luther King Jr. remain silent because he feared the consequences of speaking out? No, my friends. These individuals acted as if they feared nothing, and in doing so they changed the world. They understood a fundamental truth, that on the other side of fear lies freedom. Freedom to create, to explore, to love, to live fully and authentically. But let us be clear, acting as if you fear nothing does not mean being reckless or foolhardy. It doesn't mean ignoring genuine threats or disregarding your well-being. Rather, it means approaching life with a sense of openness, curiosity, and trust. It's about recognizing that life, in all its unpredictability and chaos, is not something to be controlled or conquered, but to be danced with, to be embraced in all its wild, messy glory. When we learn to act as if we fear nothing, we tap into a wellspring of courage that we might not have known existed within us. We discover that we are far more resilient, far more capable than we ever imagined. Consider the metaphor of the oak tree. When a storm comes, the oak doesn't stiffen in fear. It doesn't try to resist the wind. Instead, it bends, it sways, it dances with the gale. And when the storm passes, the oak still stands stronger for having weathered the tempest. This, my friends, is the essence of fearless action. It's about being flexible, adaptable, willing to bend without breaking. It's about trusting in your own innate strength and resilience. But how, you might ask, do we cultivate this ability to act as if we fear nothing? How do we move from a state of fear-based reaction to one of fearless action? The first step, paradoxically, is to fully acknowledge our fears. We must bring them out of the shadows of our subconscious and into the light of awareness. For it is only by facing our fears head-on that we can begin to loosen their grip on us. This process of acknowledging our fears is not unlike the practice of meditation. In meditation, we don't try to suppress our thoughts or emotions. Instead, we observe them, we acknowledge them, and then we let them pass like clouds drifting across the sky. In the same way, when we acknowledge our fears, we're not giving them power over us. We're simply recognizing their presence. And in doing so, we begin to strip them of their ability to control our actions.
Once we've acknowledged our fears, the next step is to question them. We must become curious about our fears, examine them from all angles, like a scientist studying a fascinating specimen under a microscope.
Ask yourself, what is the root of this fear? Is it based on a real threat? Or is it a product of my imagination? What's the worst that could happen if this fear came true? And even if it did, could I handle it? You see, my friends, most of our fears are not based on present reality, but on projections of a future that exists only in our minds. We fear rejection, so we don't ask for what we want. We fear failure, so we don't try new things. We fear the unknown, so we cling to the familiar even when it no longer serves us. But here's the thing. The future we fear so much. It's not real. It's a story we're telling ourselves, a movie we're playing in our minds. And we have the power to change the script. This brings us to the next crucial step in learning to act as if we fear nothing, reframing our perspective. Instead of seeing challenges as threats, we can choose to see them as opportunities for growth and learning. Imagine, if you will, that you're about to give a speech in front of a large audience. The fear-based mind sees only the potential for embarrassment, for failure. But what if you could reframe that perspective? What if, instead of seeing a room full of judgmental faces, you saw a group of fellow human beings, each with their own fears and insecurities, eager to hear what you have to say? This shift in perspective doesn't eliminate the butterflies in your stomach, but it changes your relationship to them. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, you might find yourself energized by excitement. And this, my friends, is where the magic happens. For when we reframe our fears, when we choose to see challenges as opportunities, we open ourselves up to a whole new world of possibilities. But let's be honest, reframing our perspective is not always easy. It requires practice, patience, and persistence. It requires us to be willing to challenge our deeply ingrained patterns of thought and behavior. This is where the power of mindfulness comes into play. Mindfulness at its core is about being fully present in the moment without judgment. It's about observing our thoughts and emotions with a sense of detached curiosity, rather than getting caught up in them. When we cultivate mindfulness, we create a space between stimulus and response. We give ourselves the opportunity to choose how we want to react, rather than being at the mercy of our conditioned responses. Imagine for a moment that you're walking down a dark alley late at night. You hear footsteps behind you, and immediately fear floods your system. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your mind starts conjuring up worst-case scenarios. But what if, in that moment, you could pause? What if you could take a deep breath, observe the sensations in your body, acknowledge the fear, and then consciously choose how to respond? This is the power of mindfulness in action. It doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives us the tools to work with it, to move through it, rather than being paralyzed by it. And here's the beautiful thing. The more we practice acting as if we fear nothing, the more we realize that we are capable of handling whatever life throws our way. We begin to trust in our own resilience, in our ability to adapt and overcome. This trust, my friends, is the foundation of fearless action. It's not about never feeling fear. That would be inhuman. It's about having the confidence to move forward despite the fear, knowing that whatever happens, you can handle it. Think about a time in your life when you faced a challenge that seemed insurmountable. Perhaps it was a difficult exam, a job interview, or a personal crisis. In the moments leading up to it, you might have been gripped by fear, but once you were in the thick of it, what happened? Chances are you found resources within yourself that you didn't know you had. You rose to the challenge. You survived and perhaps even thrived. This is the paradox of fearless action. It's not the absence of fear that makes us strong, but our willingness to act in the face of fear. Each time we do this, we grow stronger, more confident, more resilient. But here's the thing. Acting as if we fear nothing doesn't mean we'll always succeed in the conventional sense. We might still fail. We might still face rejection or disappointment. But when we act fearlessly, we redefine what success means. Success becomes not about achieving a particular outcome, but about showing up fully, about being willing to take risks, about learning and growing from every experience. When we act as if we fear nothing, we free ourselves from the tyranny of perfectionism. We realize that it's not about getting it right all the time, but about being willing to get it wrong, to make mistakes, to look foolish sometimes. For it is in these moments of vulnerability, of stepping outside our comfort zones, that we truly come alive. It is here that we discover the depths of our creativity, our resilience, our capacity for joy and connection. Think about a child learning to walk. Does the child fear falling? perhaps on some level. But does that fear stop them from taking those first wobbly steps? No, they fall, they get up, they fall again, and each time they learn a little more about balance, about how their body moves through space. We would do well to approach life with this same spirit of curiosity and playfulness, to see each challenge not as a threat, but as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to discover something new about ourselves and the world around us. This brings us to another crucial aspect of learning to act as if we fear nothing, embracing uncertainty. In our modern world, we're often conditioned to seek certainty, to try to control every aspect of our lives. We make plans, we set goals, we try to predict and prepare for every possible outcome. But here's the truth. Life is inherently uncertain. No matter how much we plan, how much we prepare, there will always be elements beyond our control. And it is this very uncertainty that makes life rich, exciting, full of possibility. When we learn to embrace uncertainty, to dance with it rather than fight against it, we open ourselves up to a whole new level of freedom. We stop trying to control the uncontrollable, and instead we learn to surf the waves of life, to go with the flow, constantly swimming against the current. Imagine, if you will, that you're standing at a crossroads in your life. Perhaps you're considering a career change, or thinking about moving to a new city. The fear-based mind sees only the potential for failure, for things to go wrong. It wants guarantees, certainties. But what if, instead of seeking certainty, you could embrace the adventure of the unknown? What if you could see this moment not as a threat, but as an exciting opportunity to discover new aspects of yourself, to have experiences you've never had before? This is what it means to act as if you fear nothing. It doesn't mean you won't feel trepidation or anxiety, but it means you're willing to step into the unknown anyway, trusting in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. And here's the beautiful thing. When we embrace uncertainty, when we're willing to take risks and step into the unknown, life has a way of surprising us. Often the most beautiful, transformative experiences come from situations we never could have planned or predicted. Think about some of the best moments in your life. Chances are, many of them were unexpected, unplanned. They arose from your willingness to say yes to life, to be open to what it had to offer. This openness, this willingness to embrace the unknown, is at the heart of fearless action. It's about trusting in the fundamental goodness of life, even when things don't go according to plan. But let's be clear, acting as if you fear nothing doesn't mean you'll never experience setbacks or disappointments. Life will still have its ups and downs, its challenges and difficulties. The difference is in how you respond to these challenges. When we act fearlessly, we approach difficulties not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and learning. We develop, psychologists call a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. With a growth mindset, failure is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as a necessary part of the learning process. Each setback becomes a stepping stone, each mistake a valuable lesson. Imagine for a moment that you're learning to play a musical instrument. In the beginning, you're going to hit a lot of wrong notes. You're going to sound terrible. But does that mean you should give up? Of course not. Each wrong note teaches you something, brings you one step closer to mastery. Life is no different. When we act as if we fear nothing, we give ourselves permission to hit those wrong notes, to make those mistakes, knowing that each one is bringing us closer to our goals, to becoming the person we want to be. This fearless approach to life also allows us to be more authentic, more true to ourselves. So often fear holds us back from expressing our true thoughts and feelings, from pursuing our desires and dreams. We fear judgment, we fear rejection, we fear not fitting in. And so we compromise, we hold back, we play small. But in doing so, we deny the world and ourselves the unique gifts that only we can offer. When we learn to act as if we fear nothing, we free ourselves from this self-imposed prison. We give ourselves permission to be fully, authentically ourselves, to express our truth, to pursue our passions with abandon. And here's the thing, when we show up in the world authentically, when we're not hiding behind masks of fear and insecurity, we inspire others to do the same. Our fearless action becomes a beacon, showing others what's possible when we refuse to let fear hold us back. This brings us to another crucial aspect of fearless action: connection. You see, when we're trapped in fear, we often isolate ourselves. We build walls, we push people away, we retreat into our shells. But when we act as if we fear nothing, we open ourselves up to deeper, more meaningful connections with others. We become more willing to be vulnerable, to share our true selves, to reach out and connect. And it is in these connections, these moments of genuine human interaction, that we often find the strength and courage to face our fears. For we realize that we're not alone in our struggles, that we're all in this together, all doing our best to navigate the sometimes turbulent waters of life. This sense of connection, of being part of something larger than ourselves, can be a powerful antidote to fear. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we are not alone, that there is support, love, and understanding available to us if we're willing to reach out and connect. But here's the catch. To create these deep, meaningful connections, we must be willing to be vulnerable. We must be willing to let down our guards, to show our true selves, warts and all. And this, my friends, requires courage. It requires us to act as if we fear nothing. Even when our hearts are pounding and our palms are sweating, it requires us to trust that even if we get hurt, even if we face rejection, we are strong enough to handle it. This willingness to be vulnerable, to connect deeply with others, is not just about personal relationships. It extends to all areas of our lives, our work, our creative pursuits, our contributions to the world. When we act as if we fear nothing, we become more willing to share our ideas, to put our work out into the world, to stand up for what we believe in. We become more willing to take risks, to innovate, to challenge the status quo. And it is through these acts of courage, these moments of fearless action, that we have the potential to create real change in the world. For it is only when we're willing to step outside our comfort zones, to challenge our own limitations and the limitations imposed by society, that we can bring something truly new and valuable into existence. Think about the great change makers throughout history, the civil rights leaders, the scientific innovators, the artistic visionaries. Did they let fear hold them back? Did they play it safe, sticking to what was comfortable and familiar? No, my friends, they acted as if they feared nothing. They were willing to face ridicule, persecution, even danger in pursuit of their vision. And in doing so, they changed the world. Now, I'm not suggesting that we all need to be world-changing visionaries, but I am suggesting that each of us, in our own way, has the potential to create positive change in the world. And that potential is only fully realized when we learn to act as if we fear nothing. This might mean speaking up against injustice, even when it's uncomfortable. It might mean pursuing a passion that others don't understand or approve of. It might mean making a career change later in life, or going back to school or starting a business. Whatever it looks like for you, acting as if you fear nothing is about being true to yourself, about living in alignment with your values and your desires. It's about refusing to let fear dictate the course of your life. But here's the thing, acting as if you fear nothing is not a one-time decision. It's a practice, a way of being that we must cultivate day by day, moment by moment. It's about making the choice, again and again, to step into the unknown, to face our fears, to embrace uncertainty. It's about choosing growth over comfort, authenticity over conformity, courage over safety. And yes, it can be challenging. There will be times when fear feels overwhelming, when the temptation to retreat into our comfort zones is strong. But each time we choose to act, despite our fear, we grow stronger. We build our courage muscle, so to speak. Think of it like physical exercise. The first time you try to lift a heavy weight, it might seem impossible. But with consistent practice, what once seemed impossibly heavy becomes manageable. Your muscles grow stronger, your endurance increases. The same is true with courage. Each act of fearless action, no matter how small, builds our capacity for future acts of courage. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. The more we act as if we fear nothing, the more we realize we're capable of, and the easier it becomes to face our fears in the future. But here's a crucial point. Acting as if you fear nothing doesn't mean you'll never feel fear again. Fear, like all emotions, serves a purpose. It's a natural part of the human experience, a response to potential threats that has helped our species survive and evolve. The goal isn't to eliminate fear entirely. That would be neither possible nor desirable. The goal is to develop a new relationship with fear, to see it not as an immovable obstacle, but as a signpost pointing towards growth and opportunity. When we learn to act as if we fear nothing, we're not denying or suppressing our fear. We're simply choosing not to let it control our actions. We're saying, I see you, fear. I acknowledge your presence, but I choose to act anyway. This shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating. It frees us from the tyranny of our fears, allowing us to live more fully, more authentically, more joyfully. And here's the beautiful paradox. When we learn to act as if we fear nothing, we often find that the things we feared weren't nearly as scary as we imagined. We discover that we're far more capable, far more resilient than we ever gave our guess at all. We realize that on the other side of fear lies freedom, freedom to be ourselves, to pursue our dreams, to live life on our own terms. But let's be clear, acting as if you fear nothing doesn't mean you'll never experience failure or setbacks. Life will still have its challenges, its disappointments, its moments of pain and struggle. The difference is in how you respond to these challenges. When you've learned to act as if you fear nothing, you approach difficulties not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and learning. You develop a kind of inner resilience, a deep-seated trust in your ability to handle whatever life throws your way. You know that even if things don't go according to plan, even if you face failure or rejection, you'll be okay. You'll learn, you'll grow, you'll bounce back. This resilience, this trust in yourself and in life, is perhaps the greatest gift that comes from learning to act as if you fear nothing. It allows you to move through life with a sense of ease and grace, to dance with uncertainty rather than fight against it. And as you cultivate this fearless approach to life, you may find that your whole world begins to change. Opportunities that you never noticed before suddenly become visible. Doors that seemed firmly closed begin to open. You may find yourself taking risks you never would have considered before, pursuing dreams you had long ago abandoned. You may find yourself speaking your truth more openly, standing up for what you believe in, making a difference in ways both big and small. And perhaps most importantly, you may find yourself experiencing life more fully, more deeply. For when we're no longer held back by fear, we're free to immerse ourselves fully in each moment, to savor the richness and complexity of the human experience. We become more present, more alive, more awake to the beauty and wonder that surrounds us every day. We stop waiting for life to begin at some future point and start living fully right here, right now. This, my friends, is the true power of learning to act as if you fear nothing. It's not just about achieving more, accomplishing great things, although that may well happen. It's about living more fully, more authentically, more joyfully. It's about freeing yourself from the constraints of fear and stepping into the fullness of who you truly are. It's about embracing life in all its messy, unpredictable, beautiful complexity. So I challenge you, my dear listeners, to begin this practice of fearless action in your own life. Start small if you need to. Take one small step outside your comfort zone each day. Face one fear, no matter how insignificant it might seem. And as you do, pay attention to how it feels. Notice the surge of energy, the sense of aliveness that comes from acting despite your fear. Notice how each small act of courage builds upon the last, making you stronger, more confident, more resilient. Remember, the goal isn't to never feel fear. The goal is to feel the fear and act anyway. To say yes to life, yes to growth, yes to the adventure of being fully, authentically human. For in the end, my friends, life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. And those breathtaking moments, those experiences of awe and wonder and joy, often lie just on the other side of our fears. So let us learn to act as if we fear nothing. Let us step boldly into the unknown, trusting in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. Let us embrace the fullness of life, with all its joys and sorrows, its triumphs and challenges. For it is in this embrace, this wholehearted yes to life, that we truly come alive. It is here that we discover the depths of our strength, the heights of our potential, the fullness of our being. And as we do, we not only transform our own lives, but we inspire others to do the same. We become beacons of courage in a world often paralyzed by fear. We show others what's possible when we refuse to let fear hold us back. So go forth, my friends, and act as if you fear nothing. Dance with uncertainty, embrace the unknown, say yes to life in all its wild, unpredictable beauty. For when we learn to act as if we fear nothing, we open ourselves up to everything, to all the love, joy, growth, and wonder that life has to offer. And in the end, isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that why we're here? To live fully, to love deeply, to grow continuously, to experience the richness of this incredible journey we call life. So let us make a pact here and now. Let us commit to living fearlessly, to embracing life in all its complexity, to being fully, authentically ourselves. For when we do, we not only transform our own lives, but we contribute to the transformation of the world. We become part of the solution, part of the healing, part of the evolution of consciousness that our world so desperately needs. And so, my dear friends, I leave you with this final thought. Fear is not your enemy. It's simply a signpost pointing you towards growth, towards authenticity, towards the full expression of who you truly are. So the next time you feel fear rising within you, take a deep breath, acknowledge the fear, thank it for trying to protect you, and then choose to act anyway. Choose to step into the unknown, to embrace uncertainty, to say yes to life. For it is in these moments of courage, these acts of fearless living, that we truly come alive. It is here that we discover the depths of our strength, the heights of our potential, the fullness of our being. So go forth, my friends, and act as if you fear nothing. The world is waiting for you to show up fully, to share your gifts, to live your truth. And remember, in the grand cosmic dance of life, you are not a mere spectator. You are a vital participant. a co-creator of reality. Your fearless action has the power to inspire, to heal, to transform not just your own life, but the lives of all those you touch. So dance boldly. Love fiercely, live fully. Act as if you fear nothing and watch as the world opens up before you in ways you never imagined possible. For in the end, it is not our fears that define us, but our courage in the face of those fears. It is our willingness to step into the unknown, to embrace uncertainty, to say yes to life in all its wild, unpredictable beauty. So let us go forth from this place renewed, inspired, committed to living fearlessly. Let us act as if we fear nothing, knowing that on the other side of fear lies freedom, growth, and the full expression of our truest selves. Thank you, my friends, for joining me on this exploration of fearless living. May you go forth and live boldly, love deeply, and act as if you fear nothing. For in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but you contribute to the transformation of our world. And remember, in every moment you have a choice. You can choose fear, or you can choose love. You can choose contraction, or you can choose expansion. You can choose to play small, or you can choose to live large. The choice is yours. And I trust that you will choose wisely, that you will choose to act as if you fear nothing, to live fully, to love deeply, to grow continuously. For in the end, that is what it means to be truly alive. That is what it means to be fully human. That is what it means to live a life of purpose, meaning, and joy. So go forth, my friends, and act as if you fear nothing. The world is waiting for your light, your love, your unique gifts. Don't keep it waiting any longer. Thank you, and may you live fearlessly, now and always.